All right, so this is part 2 of lesson 9-2, okay? Part 2 of lesson 9-2, which is tables of equivalent ratios, okay? All right, so the table shows the relationship between the different colors needed to make a certain tint of green paint and the total amount of paint. We want to write a part-to-part and a part-to-whole ratio that represents the relationship in the table. Then we want to use the ratios to find the unknown values that are in that table. So last class, we learned that when we were multiplying to make the numbers in the ratio bigger, we were scaling forward, right? Scaling forward meant that we are multiplying, yes? So here we have 5 going to 7.5. It's a little more challenging to come up with a number to multiply to get from 5 to 7.5. But do you know of a way that you can figure out what you're going to multiply by in this situation? So what you can do is, and I'm going to write it in red down here, you can write 7.5 divided by 5. Okay? So when you do that division, 7.5 divided by 5 gives you 1.5. So that's the number that you're going to use to scale forward. Is everybody clear with that? So in this situation, we're going to multiply times 1.5. And we'll multiply times 1.5 here, and we'll also multiply times 1.5 in the bottom row. Okay, so we're multiplying times 1.5. So 5 times 1.5, of course, that gives us 7.5. Then we'll do 4 times 1.5. That gives us 6. And then we're going to multiply 9 times 1.5, and that's going to give us 13.5. Now, remember, yesterday when we were scaling forward, okay, we always started with the original ratios, right? That's these 5, 4, and 9 right here. So, if you can see this, we've got 9. Now we can go from 9 to 18. How do I go from 9 to 18? Yeah, that's an easy one, right? So we can multiply this, just multiply times 2. So from 5 to whatever that's going to be, we're going to multiply times 2. And then also from 4, we'll also multiply times 2. So 5 times 2, of course, is 10. 4 times 2 is 8. And 9 times 2 is 18. Now, if you look at the labels here, this is blue paint, yellow paint, and total paint, right? Does everybody see 5 plus 4? 5 plus 4, 9, right? 7.5 plus 6, 13.5. Does everybody see it works? And then 10 plus 8, 18. You with me? All right. So, from the original, can I get from 5 to 12.5 or from 9 to 22.5? Not so easily, right? So what am I going to do to figure out what I'm going to scale forward with? We're going to divide. Very good. So we are going to divide 12.5 divided by 5. You could even divide 22.5 divided by 9. You get the same thing, right? So let's see. 12.5 divided by 5, that's going to give us 2.5. So that is what we are going to multiply by when we scale forward. Is everybody clear? Good. So here, and you're showing your work by drawing the arrows, people. Is everybody clear with that? You show your work by drawing the arrows. So we're going to multiply also times 2.5 down here. Okay? So let's see. So 5, let me get my calculator. 5 times 2.5, that gives us 12.5, check. And then 4 times 2.5, that gives us 10. So that's 10 right here. And then let's just check the last one. So we've got 9 times 2.5, and there we go, 22.5. Is everybody clear? Yeah. Very good. So now, oh, also I wanted to let you know again here, look, 12.5 plus 10, that's 22.5. Is everybody clear? Perfect. Now, I'm going to give you maybe 4 minutes to work on letter B. But let me record it on the recording first. Okay? So it says Kawan wants to mix his favorite tint of purple paint for a mural he is painting. The table shows the relationship between the different colors needed to make the purple paint and the total amount of paint. Write a part to part and a part to whole ratio that represents the relationship in the table. Then use the ratios to find the unknown values. Here's the table. Now remember, you guys, the way you show your work, you have to write the table. Even when you're doing your IXL, you have to write the table so that you can show your work using the arrows. Okay? All right, so here's our table. Now we want to fill in these blanks down here, but we aren't, do you know offhand, I mean, some of you might know what to multiply, but if you don't know what to multiply, what are we going to do to figure it out? What are we going to divide? Very good. So here we're going to divide. And you guys, I'm going to write it on the bottom so that you can see what we're doing. And you should write down in your notes also so that when you go back to your notes, you can understand how you got the numbers. Okay? So we're going to divide 3 divided by 2, and of course that's going to give us 1.5. So that means we're going to multiply here times 1.5. We're going to multiply each one of these also by 1.5 times 1.5. All right, so here we've got 3 times 1.5. That gives us 4.5. Then I'm going to multiply 5 times 1.5, and that gives us 7.5. Very good. Is everybody clear? Mm-hmm. Now we want to fill in here, in these blanks. What am I going to use? Do I actually have to do that division? No. Because that one we know, right? So we know that we can, from 5 to get to 10, we know that we can just multiply times 2. So from the original, we're going to multiply times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. And then we've got the 10. And so you can see when you add this, you get 10, right? That's how you can check that you did the right thing. So now, do I know what to do to get from 2 to 5? Maybe you know. But if you don't know, what are you going to do? You're going to divide. Very good. So we're going to divide 5 divided by 2. Oh, I forgot to write down this one. That one is 1.5. So when we do the division for 5 divided by 2, of course you're going to get 2.5. Very good. So here we're going to multiply. We're going to use 2.5 to scale forward. So we're going to multiply 2.5 there, and then multiply times 2.5 there. So 3 times 2.5, that gives us 7.5. And then let's just check the other one. So we've got 10 times 2.5, and that gives us, oops, did I do that wrong? Yes, I did. What did I do wrong? I used 10. What was I supposed to use? 5. You're supposed to use the original, right? Good catch. Who caught that? All right. So, yes, we're supposed to use the original. So, 5 times 2.5, and that gives us 12 and a half. Is everybody clear? Very good. Example 4 is using a double number line to find equivalent ratios. Now, double number line is just what it means. We all know what a number line is, right?
Yes.
And we all know what double means, right? That means 2 of them. So here's 2 number lines. That's what they'll look like. All right. So here it says the biscuit recipe, and I forgot to put the table on here. Give me a second. So this biscuit recipe right here with the table also requires 8 teaspoons of baking powder to make 24 biscuits. So this table, this is all the ingredients to make 24 biscuits. If Portia only wants to make 6 biscuits, how many teaspoons of baking powder will she need? Now, first question I want to ask you is, what are we comparing? We are comparing baking powder, so 8 teaspoons of baking powder, to 24 biscuits. Is everybody clear? So that's what we're going to put on our number line. So I'm going to put baking powder on the top number line. You guys do this too. Baking powder. And biscuits on the bottom number line. Okay. Now, what else is important in there? She only wants to make 6 biscuits. She only wants to make 6 biscuits. Now, there is one more thing that's important in there, and that is 8 teaspoons of baking powder. Oh, okay, there it is. 8 is the 8 teaspoons of baking powder. Okay? Now, when we put our numbers on our number line, of course, we're going to start with 0. Okay? What is my original ratio? 8 to 24. Very good. So that's 8 teaspoons of baking powder, which is on top, and biscuits on the bottom, 24 on the bottom. So we want to go from 0 to 24. Is everybody with me? Mm-hmm. But we want to include the 6 biscuits in there. Okay? We want to make sure that one of our intervals includes the 6 biscuits. Okay? So can I get from 6 to 24 by counting by 6? Yeah. So I got 6, 12, 18, 24. Does everybody see how I got that? All right. Now, what number goes up top here above the 24? That's for baking powder. What goes up there, Sarah? 8. Very good. So there's 8. So that's 8 teaspoons of baking powder for 24 biscuits. Is everybody clear? Mm-hmm. Now we need to figure out what we're going to count by up here. So it goes all the way to 8. And look at how many intervals we got. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what am I going to count by? 2's, because we're in 8 divided by 4, that gives me 2. So we're counting by 2's. 2, 4, 6, 8. All right? Now, the question says, if Portia only wants to make 6 biscuits, what 6 am I going to use here? The one on the top number line or the bottom? Where's biscuits? On the bottom. You have to be careful. You have a couple of 6's in there. You got to know which one to choose. We're talking about biscuits. So here's 6 biscuits. How much baking powder does she need? How much? 2 teaspoons. And so, you make sure you write, she needs 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm going to put BP for baking powder. Okay? So, you're going to work on example B with your table partners. It says the ingredients needed to make 24 biscuits are shown in the table. It's the same table as the previous example. If Portia only wants to make 9 biscuits this time, how many teaspoons of baking powder will she need? Okay? Okay, so what is important in this word problem? Yep, she only wants to make 9 biscuits here. Okay? Now, what is the important information from the table and the rest of it? This recipe makes 24 biscuits, and it takes how many teaspoons of baking powder? 8 teaspoons. 8 teaspoons. Is everybody with me? All right. So now, again, we're comparing baking powder to biscuits, right? All right. So, okay, so we're going to put baking powder up here on the top number line. And on the bottom number line, we're going to put biscuits. Is that how everybody started? All right, very good. Now, we want to go all the way to 24, but we want to include 9. What are we going to count by? 3. Right. We're going to count by 3. So, we decided to count by 3s because when we count by 3s, we will be able to reach 9 biscuits. Has everybody got that? So, let's see. This is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, right? There's 24. All right, so with our number line, we're going to start with the zeros, and we're going to count by 3. So 3, 6, 9. There's biscuits she wants to make. That's 9, 12, 15, 15, 18, 21, 24. Everybody good? So now, up top, how many teaspoons of baking powder for 24 biscuits? 8. Very good. Now, how many tick marks do I have there? Or how many intervals do I have? 8. I have 8. So what am I going to count by? 1s. Very good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now, there's our double number line, and now we can use it to answer our question. So she only wants to make 9 biscuits. So are we going to use the top number line or the bottom? The bottom. So there's 9 biscuits, and how many teaspoons of baking powder will she need? 3. Very good. And don't forget, you need to make sure you write your answer. So she needs 3 teaspoons of baking powder.